Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is turning out to be a regular thing, Faye. Come on.
We got a
Uh,
thing going, haven't we?
I am Jason. I'm with Defend, and with Faye. With Faye is with me here. We are part of a nonprofit looking to reduce risks for children and vulnerable people online. One of the ways that we do this is by our MAPS program. And if you don't know what a MAP is, simply it is someone that falls into a category of being a minor attracted person. This is someone that could be deemed to be a pedophile or hebephile or any one of these files. And
Nephew,
sorry,
Nephiophile. That's the
yes.
youngest. Then paedophile,
Uh,
paedophile.
and generally speaking, we have a support program for people that classify themselves as MAPs, people that are no MAPs, non-offending MAPs. And if you fall into this category, I encourage you to reach out to us. Go on to our website, HelpUsDefend.com, and learn more. We've got a support group that runs weekly, and today we are going to be taking a look at our another video. Faye, this has been in the news here in Canada for the last few days, so it's quite timely. Um, we can kind of talk about it as we go, but um, generally speaking, it's a police conference that we're going to be looking at today, and I'll put it up on screen and we can give some commentary for that. All right, so without further ado, here we go.
I
Welcome to
can't hear it.
today's news
Oh,
conference
here.
for Project Aquatic. I am OPP Acting Staff Sergeant Rob Simpson, and I would like to acknowledge the land we are standing on today is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We are committed to building relationships with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in order to enhance our knowledge of the many languages and histories within Ontario and across Turtle Island. For media watching, information is available on opp.ca/news. There will be 3 individuals with formal remarks. First will be OPP Commissioner Thomas Carrique, followed by OPP Staff Sergeant Tim Brown, and then Associate Executive Director Signe Arneson of the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rob, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this important announcement about a critical issue affecting our youth. According to cybertip.ca, more than 77% of Canadian children ages 9 to 17 have access to a smartphone. This connectivity, while beneficial in many ways, also increases the exposure of our youth to potential threats and online predators. One of our most fundamental responsibilities, not only as the police, but as a society, is to protect our children from those who would do them harm. The Ontario Provincial Police-led provincial strategy to protect children from sexual abuse and exploitation on the internet, known commonly as the Provincial ICE or Internet Child Exploitation Strategy, was created to protect children from online predators. With funding from the governments of Ontario, for nearly 2 decades, police officers and civilians from 27 Ontario Police Services have been working diligently to identify investigate, and charge individuals participating in child sexual exploitation online. Since 2006, the provincial ICE strategy has completed more than 82,000 investigations, leading to over 29,000 charges. Nearly 4,000 children have been identified, supported, and protected by this team throughout the years.
The audio is not great here, but
Yeah.
4,000 children since 2006. What are your thoughts so far, Faye? Where do you think this is going?
I'm firstly really impressed that they started by honoring the land and the people of it. That was really amazing. But I'm not sure yet. Like for me, I went to training recently where even now, what was being called self-generated child sex exploitation media, where a child is sexting or a teenager is sexting a peer. But they're trying to take out the language that would create a criminalization on the child or a judgment on the child as if they're culpable for their actions, which are usually hormone-led without their full prefrontal cortex and with a lot of media that they're not usually being educated about. And all of the sort of research that's coming in is showing that teenagers are struggling with in real life relationships and actually engaging in a lot of sexting and online media and exploring it without the support necessary for them to be able to navigate it. And they are sort of moving away from usual porn and into manga because it feels more relevant to them or a little bit dissociated from the media that they were consuming. And children are actually really struggling with their sense of self, their sexuality, their histories, because they're being left in this sort of void because no one's talking to them in the place that they're in a way that says, hey, there's all of this stuff happening, sexploitation, grown adults grooming children, exploiting them, abusing them, all of that stuff is happening. But there's also all these children on the internet doing usual pubescent activities in this era of children, in this era of teenager. And that is sort of being first of all criminalized, but now that there's training and there's also research and facts coming through that say that it's not fair to treat these teenagers like this, and that we have to sort of approach it from a person first language, and that all children deserve support and no children should be judged in their behavior of coming to terms with the world in its entirety that is carried around in their hand, and how that they navigate that in what is generally a void of education, dialogue, family, conversation. All of these things are sort of missing in general because it's not societally accepted yet that we need to do this work for our teenagers. But we have a whole band of kids coming up and young adults coming up that are going to do terribly with handling their childhoods because of the media that they have engaged in and what they've done with themselves in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where this guy's going yet, so it's sort
Yeah.
of early days really before I can sort of say anything.
Oh, what's going on here? I think they were having problems during the press conference here.
Oh,
Audio problems. All right.
To remain resolute
okay.
in our
I was gonna
efforts
do
to
his
protect
voice.
children from sex.
I'm cool. I'm a cop. I wear a bulletproof vest at a press conference.
Yeah.
provincial ICE
because
strategy
all these dangerous
series of
press people.
investigations into online child sexual abuse material. This investigation, known as Project Aquatic, spanned nearly every corner of our province. The success of this complex and multi-jurisdictional project is a direct result
4,000 kids affected, and they're calling this a success.
Yeah.
well-established partnerships and relentless commitment of our skilled investigators, analysts, and civilian staff.
They've been doing this for that long, and they've only safeguarded 4,000 children, which just seems
That's what I think he said. Yeah,
since 2006 or whenever it was.
2006. Yes.
That's a I can't take that in as a real number for that many years. Like, that is just ridiculously low.
And do you know how many child sex abuse reports happened on social media last year? Just last year. Take a stat.
Like 1 million.
No, come on, Faye, do better than that.
Really more?
Yeah,
Oh my God, 5 million?
30 million.
Oh my God.
That's just on Facebook platforms, which has 90% of the child sex abuse reports that happened online last year. Over the last 4 years, well over 100 million have happened, have gone from cybertip or from the social media platforms to cybertip in the last 4 years.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And they're sort of patting themselves on the back for this. I feel that they're saying this is a job well done, and we've saved these 4,000 children. But
I don't know that he said he saved them, but I mean, I think 4,000 have been affected that they can identify. Perhaps I'm not exactly sure, but
what his wording was.
yeah,
enhancements from the provincial government and through collaborative
I got the
efforts,
volume up
we have
full
increased
blast.
our capabilities to trace and intercept these offenses, demonstrating our steadfast commitment to disrupting the victimization of children online and to apprehend those intent on causing them harm. But the police cannot do this alone.
Oh.
No investigation will ever be as successful as the prevention of victimization in the first place. Risks to our youth can be
Wow, prevention. Talking about prevention in the first 5 minutes, but I don't think we're going to get much attention towards prevention here.
No, not in a congruent way.
No.
mitigated through awareness, education, supervision, and maintaining ongoing, open, and trusting dialogue. Doing so could change the course of a child's life. I'm
That all
grateful
sounds
for
great.
all of our partners, from the Canadian Centre
Sounds great.
of Child Protection to the 27 police services that participate in the provincial ICE strategy, for their continued support and cooperation during Project Aquatic. The more we work together, the safer our children and communities will become. Thank you. Merci. Make wedge. I would now like to introduce Detective Staff Sergeant Tim Brown.
It's a drop in the ocean.
Yep.
The Project Aquatic, they've really done the very tip of the iceberg.
Thank you,
Over
Commissioner Creek.
God knows how many years.
OPP Detective Staff Sergeant
Yep.
Tim Brown, and I coordinate Ontario's provincial
Nearly
strategy
20 years that
to
is. I'm
prevent
just like,
child sexual.
Well,
it was 20
think,
years ago.
well,
In 2 years, it'll be 20 years ago.
I think he was talking, I think Project Aquatic here is like a recent kind of project that was launched. I don't get the sense that, like, they're kind of leading off by talking about their lifetime achievement awards, basically.
I see. So they have been a service in the police department since 2006.
Well, they've been a police agency for longer than that, but they've been focused on internet crimes
Yeah,
against
they've been. Yeah,
children
they've,
since then.
right. I see.
That's
Okay,
that's
but
really
still, if they're saying since 2006 they've located 4,000 children and whatever term he used, what does that even equate to? Did they get them justice? Did they get them safety? Did they give them counselling to help their family navigate the whole thing? You know, what was it? But also 4,000 since 2006 just feels like for Project Aquatic a literal drop in the ocean. It just doesn't seem real number.
Use and exploitation on the internet. It's commonly known as the Provincial ICE Strategy. Launched on February 19th, 2024, Project Aquatic was an opportunity for officers from 27 police services to come together and to identify and stop the abuse of 34 child victims. The goal was clear.
So 34
Right.
child victims since February 2024. Well, that they could identify, I think.
Identify victims and to apprehend individuals who make, access, and distribute child sexual abuse material. Thanks to the project team's dedication and resolve, this enforcement action resulted in 64 individuals.
You know what I find really interesting here is that nowhere in the Canadian Criminal Code does it say child sexual abuse material.
I know, right? They are so behind on their terminology. It's pretty shocking. And they're using these terms standard, which I'm like glad of, but like bring up to date your documentation.
In the Criminal Code, it says child pornography.
Right. Yeah, I read all through all of the different legal states, Australia's, UK's, America's. I know they have all over the different states, but the generalized ones. And to see it in Canada as well, because it's such a progressive country, I was really shocked. So yeah, it's nice to see that they've updated in their terminology in person, but they need to get the rest updated.
Yeah, not reflected in the codified laws.
No.
Facing a total of 348 charges. Together, we completed 129 investigations. Our team also seized 607 digital devices. To fully grasp the significance of this, consider that the first mass-produced smartphone, introduced shortly after the launch of the Provincial ICE Strategy in 2006, had a mere 8 gigabytes of storage. Today, mobile devices can accommodate as much as 1 terabyte of storage, which equates to 128 times the capacity. 1 terabyte can store up to 250,000 photos or 500 hours of video. During Project Aquatic, we apprehended a suspect who possessed multiple devices and had hard drives amounting to more than 21 terabytes of data. For every device seized, an officer or analyst examines each photo and video, which can take several weeks. The time spent on each child sexual abuse investigation only grows with a continued increase of storage. With each passing year, the tools used by predators who wish to harm our children grow more sophisticated and harder to trace. From advanced encryption to the dark web, these factors add to the complexity of police investigation.
Oh, Facebook, in order to try and bring down their numbers of child sex abuse reports on their platforms. This is on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Metaverse and all that. In order to try and bring down those numbers, they're looking to do end-to-end encryption on everything, which basically will hide, everything from the platform. And the platform will essentially have their child sex abuse reports plummet, to probably nothing because of this, because they will essentially be sticking their head in the sand and saying, "Oh, we care more about privacy than we do about this issue."
And they don't care about privacy. They're selling as much data as they possibly can. So it's ridiculous.
With the advent of AI-generated images, our task to differentiate between real and synthetic victims adds yet another element to our efforts in apprehending those who make, possess, access, and distribute child sexual abuse material.
So that's
However,
a whole
this
different,
does not deter us.
Yeah, that's another conversation, but
that's a whole different subject. And really that needs to be brought into the to dialogue, because as he's saying just there, the man hours, the hours it takes for someone to go through that distressing media and have to try and work out what's real and what isn't, with the level of reality in realism and AI at this point.
well, I'm not
But
sure why he's even saying that, because
I know,
in reality, and here in Canada, there's no distinction between
I know.
visual
Canada,
representations of what is a child, whether it's AI
Canada
generated or not.
is protecting artificial intelligence, in some ways more than real children, but definitely equal to, yes. And really that is barbaric and moronic, because artificial intelligence doesn't need protecting, children do. So something needs to happen where there is if we have the ability to make this stuff, then we have the ability to make stuff that detects this stuff and can just push it to one side, because though no resources should be wasted on artificial intelligent children. Real children need those resources.
Well,
So
the question really is about, when it comes to AI, the question really turns to how is that AI model trained? And the suggestion is, especially from other child protection groups, one of them being Thorn, which is the organization run or started by Ashton Kutcher, the actor.
yeah.
His organization Thorn is suggesting that to create that AI image, that it's generally trained on thousands and thousands of real child images, some of which are CSAM. And there's no
Right.
way to make a distinction about that. So that's really where
Oh, right. So you can't yes, of course, you can't distinguish that. Yes, but you can distinguish. There is the technology to distinguish that something is an artificial media rather than a real media.
It's getting harder and harder to not even detect that, though.
Right. Yeah, the deep fake stuff.
Oh yeah.
And also that media can be used to sexploit children as well. So
absolutely.
yeah.
You know, it's not just for sharing or for creating or distributing. It's to manipulate people into doing something that you want them to do, to extort them or whatever.
And it's quite difficult, because I know that there's media of my sexual abuse as an infant, and it's quite difficult to think about that being sort of traded and out there, and could have gone, once it's digitalized, it could have gone wherever, and repeated all over the place. And that sort of feeling of someone's trauma injury, the media of its capturing, is sort of continuing to be shared and used as a law or a sexploitation on other children, is just awful.
Yeah.
Every perpetrator we bring to justice, we are together disrupting the criminal activity threatening our children.
He didn't say justice, though. He said 129, I think, or 130.
129 investigations. They're disrupting Faye. They're disrupting it.
Right.
They're not preventing it here.
No, and they're not. And see, disruption can sometimes be worse without the scaffolding that needs to be around that, because if they just go and disrupt it, then that child, if it's within the home, or online with someone that knows them can be in more danger after the constructs aren't made, the therapy, the social service response, the justice, the police response to the perpetrators, and creating the difference that says we have stopped this. Being an interference to something can sometimes make those circumstances worse.
Sure.
He's not talking
In many
about
cases,
justice for anyone, or even
evidence of
really
abuse
an
is shared
actual
online.
response, like an actual proper organizational response from different signposting of different agencies for response. It feels a little bit lack to me.
Well, this is coming only from law enforcement perspective, and
Right.
well, their job is really to keep their food on their tables.
And try for
Viewed
justice
by
for
countless
their victims, so that they're not meant to just be interrupting things. But yeah, I suppose that's well, as I've said, it could
In
be
that
could be
way,
worse.
And then we've got laws on the books. There's this thing called murder, Faye. Did you know that?
Right.
It is illegal to commit murder.
Yeah.
How much have those laws stopped people from murdering people?
Yeah.
They haven't. I mean, really, this comes from the judicial perspective. They're really feeding just the judicial system. And that's really what their job is to feed the judicial system.
Yeah. Yeah.
the cycle
And
of
like
abuse
not
for
really
these
get
children
anywhere with it.
continues.
Sorry. But they're
Yeah.
not really getting it. It really is a conveyor belt. The snake eating its own tail, conveyor belt of no evolution whatsoever, just ongoing endurance of the same thing.
Yep.
For years or even decades. While law enforcement adapts and evolves with these changes, there are measures people can take to protect our most vulnerable. First, know that we are working tirelessly to continuously apply pressure to those who seek to.
First, to protect others, know that they're working hard.
To apply pressure.
We're applying pressure. Why is that number one out of his mouth?
Harm our children. We continue to ask the public to report child exploitation to police or to cybertip.ca. Second, stay alert. Imagine how you would feel if a stranger approached your child in a park. This same level of gravity must be translated to the digital playgrounds where predators lurk under the cover of anonymity and false identities. These dangers are not confined to the shadowy corners of the internet. Predators go where children go. Third, we need a continuous and holistic approach to this societal problem. Parents.
What? I'm gonna rewind that there.
Let's listen to that one again.
Predators lurk under the cover of anonymity and false identities. These dangers are not confined to the shadowy corners of the internet. Predators go where children go. Third, we need a continuous and holistic approach to this societal problem.
Need a continuous. I'm trying to write this down. Continuous and holistic.
Yeah, if only.
So these are the three things that you can do to prevent harm. Is we need a holistic approach. That's number 3. Basically, the only thing of substance here for a parent: stay alert for strangers.
And those in the park too.
And those in the park, because parks are dangerous.
Entire communities must be informed and vigilant about the realities of child luring, child grooming, and the dangers posed online. Education, awareness, and strong enforcement action are the foundations for combating child sexual exploitation on the internet. Let today be a call to action. The fight against child exploitation requires more.
So none of these involve doing any measures against the tech companies.
I know, and there's literally no real advice. There's loads of things that you can do with your technology and your children's technology. I'm not a technology person, but we did them all for our children, and we set up our internet so that you get they can't go into the internet, like the 18 plus internet, because ours was on the child, on, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a level where you can't go, like we wouldn't be able to search porn as an adult in the house because the internet didn't let it go to there. And also you can get it where your children's devices send you a report of what they're searching, and actually gives you the answers to what your children are doing on their devices. And then there's this whole need for the education, what that education is in school, proper sex ed, proper online safeguarding and training, but also that awareness to go to them on their level that says, hey, you're probably doing this as well, that isn't that, so let's hold that separately, and let's make that safe as well as this other thing that can happen to you. And having like these common dialogues in your family and being able to talk about online safety and sex exploiting and what things to do to try and protect your children's online world needs to become like a normal conversation in society and households, so that the scaffolding is there for these children to actually navigate the world that we've made them, and kind of drop them in it, and are both criminalizing them as well as trying to save them from themselves and all these other things in a way that doesn't make sense to them or their experience of it, I don't think.
So watch this now. I mean, I don't know if I have a way to fast forward through it, but this is some research that we had done from I think a year ago, maybe. Oh. What's going on here?
No online accountability, and the platform you're watching this on is now no exception. Over the last 2 of seeking, grooming are all up across all social platforms, around on average 50 or more %. The American Psychiatric Association estimates that only about 5% of people suffer from the mental condition of pedopredatorism. Yet there has been a boom with online video platforms seeing a rise of nearly 40% of pred catching groups, finding adults going out to meet with little ones they've met on the internet.
You came down here to meet a fucking kid! I want you to remember my fucking face!
Why is it so bad? Because prison is not a deterrent, but that's not the only reason. Think about one of the other principles for sentencing from the perspective of a judge when someone is guilty. If you're a judge,
there is some statistics that I wanted to kind of quickly pull out here. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. We're kind of running out of time here. What is going on here?
Trying to help them and teach them new skills. The system isn't properly rehabilitating people, except maybe in Norway. Michael Moore visited there, then identifying who's having these thoughts about little ones before they harm someone and helping them manage it. Did you know that if you were a pred and you went to your doctor in North America and said you had feelings for little ones, not that you've committed a crime against one of them, but just feelings, that they will likely have to mandate and report you to the authorities? That's pretty messed up. Someone is looking to get help and then they get shuffled.
5.4 billion is the number spent on housing child predators in the US in, I think, 2021.
Oh, in 1 year.
In 1 year, 5.4 billion.
Wow.
Do you know how much they spent on prevention programs?
Yeah. Not like 102,000.
$1.5 million. Like, just this astronomical difference
Yeah.
between, what the system is focused on, which is, putting people in jail,
Punishment.
and then, actually doing something, prevention, which is what our MAPS support group, our Map to Hope support group is all about. So if you're interested in this program, someone that would be interested in this program, someone that identifies as a minor attracted person, please contact us. HelpUsDefend.com, and we can possibly get them in our support group. Any last short thoughts, Faye?
No. I think I had all the thoughts.
I mean, just I'm glad the police are patting themselves on the back and they're talking stuff about education. I don't think education is anywhere. I don't think education is
It doesn't exist.
probably the furthest thing from their mind.
And it doesn't exist because they're not meeting teenagers where they're at. They're going in there with the Just Say No campaign or the War on Drugs campaign. Like they're going in there as if they're going to tell them something, and actually they don't get it at all. They're missing the whole point.
Anyways, thank you for your time.
No problems. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time. Get on our website, HelpUsDefend.com, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate so we can help support programs like this that we're doing, and to actually protect children on the internet. Have a great day, everyone.